Hey folks, Lemonade here, and we have a pretty special one here because this is kind of the pad that got me started on this little YouTube journey, and with a pretty unknown or, well, lesser known brand. But this is actually the PureTrak MF1 in the Phoenix Pink design. Now the pad itself comes in a couple of different sizes. 480 by 405 is what I have here. Both sizes come in 3mm thickness. The other pad is a medium size. It's 320 by 270. It goes from $12.99 for that medium pad up to $27.99 for this particular pad here. I highly recommend, I think, for the price, just get the large pad. It's really not that expensive and you just get more real estate. The one, I think, most interesting thing I'm going to say here in this video, there's a couple things, but the one that really sticks out to me after buying a lot of pads that I have over there for review and reaching out to a lot of companies and talking to a lot of companies, this is the only, well, manufacturer that I know of that actually makes their pads in the USA. Now, that might not mean much to some people, but it is pretty cool to see. It's not necessarily a requirement for me, but it is really cool to see made in the States products. I am in the United States myself, so kudos for PureTrak for producing really quality mouse pads and awesome designs locally here in the United States. Now, the pad itself, no coating, uniform X and Y, a very smooth surface. It's very soft and comfortable. It's got a tiny bit of give. But again, it's only 3mm, so not too much. But I have been really gravitating towards smoother surfaces like this. My original pad, well, not original, but from earlier this year was the Equate Plus. Good pad, but the X-Ray pad series are known to have that kind of grittier texture. And while I can perform on it, it's just not my preference. So I always look for kind of smoother, more consistent surface, and this really hits it out the park. Humidity resistance, I am in a very, very humid state in Florida. I don't notice a lot of it because I came from a Glorious mouse pad. I think I was using that last year or 2 years back, and the Glorious mouse pad, that thing was awful. For humidity resistance. This is much better. It is still noticeable, but again, in pretty much the most humid state in the country, it's manageable, and I think it does a pretty good job at resisting humidity. Overall performance here of the surface itself, there is a lot of static friction. So when you're trying to make small micro adjustments, you really feel that kind of muddiness to the pad. Dynamic friction is more reasonable, but you still feel that kind of like magnet effect kind of pulling down. So if you know of pads like that, like the GSR, it's kind of got a similar feel to that. But again, it is manageable when you're making those kind of longer swipes. The stitch edging is fantastic on it. My particular copy unfortunately did have a QC issue in this corner here. Let's see if we can get it up into the camera right there. It was actually, get it in focus, it was less of an eyesore when I originally got it, and my OCD kind of picked at it and made it a little bit worse. It's not the end of the world. I never go over that edge. As you can see, it's actually off camera down here. So it's really not an issue, and unfortunately, that's just what I got stuck with. Sometimes it happens when you buy a product. But overall, the rest of it is fantastic in terms of QC. The base, it's standard. Nothing particularly special about this base, but it holds on like a magnet. I mean, I'm shaking my monitor at this point. It holds on in game, not an issue at all. It does not move. So base, awesome. Performance in game. I'd recommend this specifically for tac shooters. I do play in primarily Battlefield, and I pepper in some Apex arenas here and there. I have performed really well in both of those. I've also hit personal bests in aim labs, tracking and flicking scenarios on this. So it is a versatile pad. I would just probably recommend it for tac shooters. Now, that being said, we're going to go into some other pads that PureTrak makes, and I also have them in my room here, and we'll do separate reviews on those, that I probably would recommend over this, strictly because most people don't necessarily play just tack shooters. Now, if you are that person, it's a great pad. But if you kind of float around between tracking heavy games and flick heavy games, then there's probably better options that PureTrak makes that we'll get into. This is also a pretty good pad for controlling jittery aim. So if your aim is a little bit more inconsistent, or you use a very light mouse. Now, this isn't particularly light at 65 grams, but if you're using something, 50 or sub 50, and I would say a mouse with skates on the corners like this in the four corners, so something akin to a final mouse, a very light and fast mouse, this may actually help with balancing that speed. But obviously a heavier mouse, or a mouse with more wider PTFE feet, like the Valor here, this is just a bit too slow in combination. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but it serves a purpose for a certain player, and obviously depending on what kind of mouse you use. Now, I'm going to bring you on to their designs on the website, and I'll show you a couple of things here, folks. Okay, so we're on PureTrak's website here, and you can see, again, they start from $12.99. The particular series here, this is the one I have, but it comes in some really cool designs. They have the black and gold version of the Phoenix, and then the Turbulence is really, really neat. Again, all the pricing and sizing is the same across the board. Of course, the surface is exactly the same. Now, here they say it's a perfect balance between speed and control. Again, I think it's a little bit more control heavy, and I would lean towards recommending some of these other mouse pads, MF2, the CL1. Again, I have them both in-house, and we will be doing reviews of all of these. But I do just want to commend PureTrak for, again, making these in the States, keeping prices very competitive, and with really, really cool designs, not only in the MF1 series, but the MF2 have some really neat designs as well. So again, just a big thumbs up and recommendation for PureTrak as a brand across the board. And that's about it, folks. I really recommend this pad for a specific type of person. Again, if you're into tack shooters, or you just need help with controlling your more jittery aim, this may be the mouse pad for you. It gets my recommendation. All my socials are down below, folks, with an affiliate link and discount codes for PureTrak. There's a 10% off code, UpgradeLemonade. Use at checkout for this pad or any other pads out there. If you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Leave a comment down below what your thoughts. But until the next Fresh Squeeze video, stay thirsty, folks.